What's this?
Hey guys, how's it going? Gonna kind of combine two videos today. Coming up on 400 subscribers, and very much.
I hope you can see me. Marlin, congratulations on the 400 subscribers. I thought it would be nice to answer this 400 subscriber video, and so I'm going to reply to the before tag. So the before tag consists of 4 questions. I actually tried answering all these questions, but it became quite a thing. I actually decided to write it down on my own website, which is the Serendipity website. And it's you can find it over here, the before tag. The before YouTube. What did he do before YouTube? Well, I think this wants you to talk about the use of multimedia on the internet and stuff, and what did you do in a social way on the internet. So, well, before YouTube I actually hardly watched any online video, and also during the first years of YouTube I didn't watch any online video because the quality was so atrocious that I just, you know, I just got a headache watching all these pixelated stuff, and I didn't have broadband online. I think it was up to 2000 or 2001. Actually, the year the 911 disaster struck. I think that's the year I got broadband. So, yeah. Well, I did participate on various internet forums focusing on gaming and other subjects. I was a lurker for a long time on the Retro Gaming Radio show, hosted by Shane Monroe, and the accompanying forum. That closed down for a while, and it actually sprung another website, which was Armchair Arcade, formed by, among others, Bill Gudis and Matt Barton. And I actually became a very active member quite early on, and actually ended up being a co-author of the site. And that was actually in the early noughties, I guess, early this century. I came on the internet. My first experience with the internet were quite early on, late 80s, early 90s. I worked as a student assistant and an assistant to the professor that was actually teaching ICT, information technology, to the students, to medical students, SQL, internet, just networking, all that kind of stuff, databasing, and I actually taught the subject, while at the same time I was actually taking the subject. I had to take it before because of my medical degree. I had to take it, but actually, it was weird. The guy just didn't want to write me enough, so I had to take the subject and actually teach it at the same time, which was insane. But the other question, what did I do before the internet? Well, for a long time I was an active point in the FidoNet, which was a network of FidoNet, which was a network of bulletin systems. That was an international network, and you could actually have a rudimentary form of email, and you could mail each other. Some actually were running a bulletin board system themselves. Some of my friends were actually running a bulletin board system themselves within a multitasking DOS environment, Deskview or something. I'm not sure what it was called. I never ran a bulletin board system, and the thing is, and that's different from the United States situation. In the Netherlands, local calls never were free, so accessing a bulletin board, even a local bulletin board, cost you a lot of money. And I think I spent a lot of money in medical school on books and my telephone bill, because I was all over the place. I have a lot more to tell you about how I ended up. I can post it below. I remember that the University Computer Systems got hooked up to Finland. The QNet server became available, and it had a lot of files for the Atari, for the Commodore 64, for the Amiga. There were a lot of computer files on there. At the same time, the first PC emulators for the older systems on the PC appeared. There was a ZX Spectrum emulator that appeared on the PC. There was an MSX emulator that was actually ported by a fellow Dutchman, Marcel de Kogel. I think he studied in Leiden, I'm not sure, but Marcel de Kogel, he was working on a port of Mayrat Faisalun. He has a very famous MSX emulator port. So, you know, that the whole thing about running that ancient software, the old software, on the newer PCs really made me think that, yeah, perhaps the stuff that programmers make is timeless after all. You know, it's going to be preserved. I mean, I found emulators to be a window to, for a lot of the stuff that people make, a window to, to the future, you know. That changed with the closed console thing, but what did you do before computers? Well, I was heavily into reading, music, arts, friends. Always was a very social person, and I guess me being very social really took me away from computers enough not to turn into this, you know, this social inept nerd. I was heavily into movies, and what I did was, to the library, I got some books on computers. I noticed there were computers around, but never touched one. I started reading about how computers worked, and that you could program them in various languages, and there were various languages, so I chose a book on Lisp, and I chose a book on BASIC, and I actually got a typewriter. We had a typewriter, I got a stack of paper, and I decided to type in my own programs on the paper, because my handwriting was so atrocious that I just couldn't reproduce it, or my friend couldn't reproduce it. So I actually ended up writing all these programs in generic BASIC and just trying them out, hoping to try it out later on the system. But it took some time for me to actually get exposed to a system. It actually progressed in such a way that I actually actually started making assembly programs. I chose the I think it wasn't the Commodore 64. I think it was the VIC-20 and the Z80, two very different systems with two different processors, and I actually was trying to create machine code language, because trying to make these machines do things in a sort of English language that BASIC sort of looks like, at least to a non-native speaker. I mean, being able to tell the machine in machine code what it needs to do, that was just amazing, you know, how you could program the hardware and stuff. I remember, well, even if the consoles were very similar, the Coleco, the Texas Instruments 99, Sega Master System, the games on them, and the way they were programmed was entirely different, so that was actually pulling me in. And then the last question, life before video games. Well, being exposed to video games at a very early age, well, I think they've always been an integral part of my life. We just used video games to entertain ourselves, but I found myself reading a book or, you know, drawing stuff just as much, you know. I mean, I loved sitting on a roof. I did that a lot, reading books in tree branches, listening to music, making music, playing board games. Later on, Dungeons and Dragons in high school. I did a lot of things to entertain myself, hang out with friends. Actually ended up watching a ton of Bollywood movies. Amitabh Bachchan is actually, you know, I mean, that was one of the icons. With my good friend Satish, my brother and I grew up with him. He was the kid next door. And I mean, we did everything, you know, the Holy Festival and stuff. We ate a lot of curries. We continued to be social, but he got a Commodore 64 as well, Satish. And I mean, we were trading programs on tape, floppy, and playing them, but we also did social things. So, you know, I balanced it out quite a bit. So that's very nice. And the strange thing is that I actually find YouTube and all these forums and these internet things, these social things, I find them much more enticing and even addictive, much more than the old systems. And I think YouTube, I mean, you see a lot of people getting into trouble, you know. I mean, YouTube takes an enormous amount of time. It's fun, but it takes enormous amount of time to view all the movies, review all the little clips, make the clips, and yeah, I mean, people need to take a break, I think, every once in a while, but okay, well, this is my Marlinlee before tag and 400 subscriber video response. I'll respond back to Marlin. Marlin, congrats on the 400 subscribers. Yeah! And yeah, well, it's good night from me and Super Moose. And I'll have to edit it now and probably spend way too much time editing it and uploading it and stuff. And well,